All right, let's just jump right in. We're going to talk about something that has hands down the worst name in all of math: complex numbers. And yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that famously mislabeled imaginary part. And that name, it's a real head scratcher, right? It immediately brings up this huge question. If they're imaginary, then how in the world are they so essential to describing, well, the real world? And listen, if you're thinking that, you are definitely not alone. I mean, check this out. It's a quote from someone online basically asking the same thing. It's a great question, a totally fair question, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack here.
Okay, so first things first, let's tackle that name head on. The imaginary problem. Where did this confusing label even come from?
The truth is, it's basically a historical accident. Seriously, the name imaginary was kind of meant as a jab, an insult, and it just stuck. It's caused centuries of confusion, because as we're about to see, these numbers are about as real as it gets. So let's get into their origin story, which is actually super interesting. You see, complex numbers weren't invented to, describe something in nature. They were more like a solution in search of a problem. And this timeline really shows you how it all unfolded. Way back in 1543, a guy named Cardano was using them, but just as a kind of mathematical trick, an intermediate step to get to real answers. And for like over 250 years, that's all they were. It wasn't until around 1799, when someone finally figured out how to visualize them, that their true power was unleashed. And after that, boom, applications in physics and engineering just exploded. So here's the key takeaway. They weren't invented to describe nature at all. They came about purely from mathematical curiosity. People were just trying to solve certain kinds of equations. The fact that they turned out to be this amazing language for describing the universe, that was a total, and I mean profound, surprise. So what was that big breakthrough? Well, it was a shift in thinking. Mathematicians stopped seeing numbers just on a single line and started seeing them on a map. And trust me, this is the key to everything. This map has a name: the complex plane. So instead of just one number line, imagine two. The one going left and right, that's your good old real number line. But now we add a vertical one, the imaginary axis. And what this means is that any complex number can be plotted as a single point, like a coordinate on a map. All of a sudden, they weren't just abstract ideas anymore, they were actual locations. And with this idea, you can create these incredible, detailed visualizations of complex functions. I mean, look at this. Every single point in this image is a unique complex number, and its value is represented by a specific color and brightness. It's beautiful, right? Okay, so if complex numbers are just points on a map, what happens when you start doing math with them? Like, what does it mean to multiply them? This is where it gets really, really cool. When you multiply two of these numbers together, something amazing happens geometrically. It's actually two super simple steps. First, you multiply their distances from the center point, the origin. And second, you just add their angles together. Now, just let that sink in for a second. Multiplication isn't just some abstract calculation anymore. It's a physical action. It's a rotation and a scaling on the plane. It's a tool for describing transformations. And guess what our world is full of? Things that rotate and scale. All right, so let's follow that thread. Where does this one incredible idea, multiplication as rotation, actually lead us? Well, the applications are just staggering, from circuits to fractals. Let's take signal processing. When you use something called a Fourier transform to break down a signal, like a sound wave, you get a complex number. And it's not just abstract math. The real part tells you about the symmetric part of the signal. Think of a cosine wave. And the imaginary part? That tells you about the asymmetric part, its phase, basically how it shifted in time. Both pieces carry totally distinct, totally essential, real-world information. And honestly, the list just goes on and on. We're talking about electrical engineering modeling the AC circuits that power your home. We're talking about the signal processing that makes your phone work. It goes even deeper, describing the very fabric of reality and quantum mechanics, proving fundamental things about prime numbers. And yeah, even creating mind-blowing, infinitely complex fractal art. And just look at this. It's incredible. The exact same mathematical principles that give us something like the famous Mandelbrot set are also at the heart of the perspective-twisting art of M.C. Escher. It just goes to show you their unbelievable power to describe these really complex geometric relationships. So, let's circle all the way back to that first question. Are they imaginary? No, not at all. The best way to think about them is as a language, a two-dimensional language that's perfectly built to describe anything that has both a size, a magnitude, and an angle or phase. Things like waves and signals, and yeah, even quantum states. And that leads us to this final kind of beautiful mystery. It seems that nature itself, at its most fundamental level, operates using the rules of complex numbers. They're baked into the equations of quantum mechanics. Why? Why does the universe speak this language? The honest answer is, no one knows. It just seems to be how reality is built.